If you've ever played a video game, you probably died, or at least lost. And depending on that game, that death could have looked completely different. Today I want to break down a mechanic that in roguelike genre isn't just a feature. It's the entire foundation of the experience. I'm talking about Permadeath. Hey, my name is Peter and this is Rogue's Den, a channel dedicated to roguelike games. Before we get into Permadeath, we need to establish a baseline. Because the concept only really lands if you understand what death looks like everywhere else. In most modern games, dying isn't really that big of a deal. Take Doom 2016 as an example. Structured around closed combat arenas, so dying just sends you back to the start of that arena. A few minutes lost at most, you barely feel it. Souls-like games like Elden Ring take a significantly harsher approach. When you die, you don't just respawn at the last checkpoint with all your enemies back. You drop all of your accumulated experience and currency right where you fell. You're given exactly one chance to return and recover them. If you die again before that, they're gone forever. It sounds punishing, but it's a brilliant psychological trick. It turns every run into a high-stake gamble, forcing you to play carefully, respect the world, and learn from your mistakes. We've even seen this mechanic adapted by games like Hollow Knight. A step down from that are traditional checkpoints, a design staple of classic platformers like Donkey Kong Country. Die and you respawn at the last checkpoint you passed, but you lose any bananas or hidden collectibles picked up after that point. It's a middle ground, but it comes with a catch, the life system. Fail too many times and it's game over. The checkpoint is gone and you're booted right back to the start of the level. Open-world RPGs go in the opposite direction entirely. Games like The Witcher 3 or recent Assassin's Creed titles let you save manually at almost any point, while the game constantly creates automatic backups in the background after every minor encounter, fast travel or completed objective. The game essentially never wants you to lose meaningful progress. Death is barely an interruption, more of a brief timeout before you're back in action. Some games take this even further, ditching the penalty entirely and making it all about pure mechanical mastery. Look at Celeste. The moment you fail, it drops you right back at the start of the room. No loading screens, just straight back into the action. And then there is the absolute Wild West of save systems. Classics like Doom or Half-Life 2, which lets you save anywhere, anytime. It's total player freedom. You have absolute control over when, where and how often you record your progress. But no matter how these games handle death, they all share the same underlying rule. It always sends you back to a fixed point in the past. You lose some time, maybe a bit of progress, but never everything. There is always a safety net. Some games do offer an optional Iron Man or Hardcore mode, where death is permanent and you have to start over from the beginning. It's a niche choice treated as an extra challenge for a specific kind of player. But in roguelikes, that's not a mode, that's just a game. In a roguelike, permadeath isn't a difficulty setting, it's the law of the land. When you die here, there is no going back to a fixed point in the past, because the past no longer exists.
Try and try again. You will break through this gloaming murk.
The loop always looks like this. You start a run, you win, or, much more likely, you die. You might get some meta progression, and then you start again.
Ensuring victory.
When you die, you lose everything. Items, upgrades, abilities, it's all gone. Some roguelikes allow saving your current run, but the save is automatically deleted the moment you die. It's not a backup, it's just a pause. The only thing that might carry over between runs is meta progression, whether it's unlocked characters, permanent upgrades or just new items added to the pool. But even then, you always start the actual run from scratch. That is permadeath. Here is the key shift. In a normal game, your goal is to finish the game. In a roguelike, your goal is to finish a run. And a run doesn't last 50 hours. It lasts 30 minutes, maybe an hour, 2 at most. That compression changes everything. Every single decision has weight. Every item you pick up, every path you choose, every fight you take on, all of it matters because there is no reloading. There is no "I'll just try again" from the save. You either make it work or you die. That tension is nearly impossible to replicate in games with traditional save systems. When you know you can always reload, the fear never fully lands. In a roguelike, it never leaves. Now you might ask, but doesn't it get frustrating? And the answer is yes, absolutely. There will be runs that end due to bad lag, not bad play. You'll get unlucky item rolls. You will face a brutal enemy combination at worst possible moment, and it will feel unfair. But roguelikes are designed around that. Each run teaches you something. A death to a boss you've never seen before means next time you will know its patterns. A wrong item choice teaches you how the build system actually works. In that context, death isn't a failure state, it's the tutorial. Because runs are short, you play a lot of them, and that repetition is where the real depth of these games lives. Not in clocking hours, but in gradually learning the language of the game. Early on, a roguelike can feel overwhelming. Items seem random, enemies feel arbitrary, builds don't come together. But somewhere after dozens of runs, things start clicking. You start seeing the logic underneath the randomness. You recognize dangerous enemy combinations before they kill you. You know which items synergize and which ones are traps. The game hasn't changed, you have. And because each run is different, there's always something new to react to. Permadeath is what makes that matter, because you can't reload, every run is its own complete story, with its own lessons. Modern roguelikes often soften the blow of permadeath with meta-progression systems. Between runs, you might unlock a new starting weapon or add a powerful new item to the possible drops. This gives you a sense of forward momentum even when a run ends early. You didn't waste that run, you earned something for the next one. It's a clever way to make even failed runs feel meaningful. But meta-progression doesn't undermine permadeath. The core challenge resets. You still have to earn your way through the game with the skills and decisions you make in that specific run. Permadeath as a pure gameplay mechanic is one thing, but some games took it a step further and integrated death directly into the narrative. And in doing so, they changed something more fundamental: how death feels emotionally. The most spectacular example is Hades by Supergiant Games. You play as Zagreus, son of the god of the dead, trying to escape the underworld. Every time you die, you return to your starting point, and the world reacts.
Cheers for that, mate.
NPCs have new dialogue.
I see you've decided to come home.
Story threads advance.
At the seams, and no one's going to admit it.
The house shall stand eternally.
Zagreus himself comments on what just happened.
I'll get that Hydra.
You stop feeling like a player who lost. You start feeling like Zagreus, who just tried again. That shift is enormous. Death isn't something you're trying to avoid at all costs. It's almost something you lean into because you know something new is waiting for you back at the start. A new conversation, a new piece of the story, a new reaction from a character who saw you fail. Permadeath stops being a punishment and becomes the fuel for the story. It's no longer just a gameplay mechanic with some story thrown on top. The story itself is built from the loop. Another compelling example is Returnal. Without spoiling too much, our protagonist is trapped in a dark time loop on an alien planet and is trying to break free. Each death literally resets her world, but it also pushes you deeper into a narrative psychological horror. With every single run, you piece together the dark secrets of this planet, alongside the fragmented, deeply unsettling story of the protagonist herself. The permadeath isn't just justified by the story, it is the story. Both of these games figure out something crucial. The sting of losing progress can be reframed entirely. If the world acknowledges your death, if it actually means something within the story, that frustration transforms into narrative tension. You're not restarting, you're continuing. And honestly, that's what made me fall in love with this genre. Permadeath looks brutal on the surface, and make no mistake, it is. But when you look closely at how it shapes the player experience, you realize it's one of the most powerful design tools in gaming. It makes every decision matter. It compresses the game into intense sessions. It teaches you the game through the failure rather than in spite of it. And in the best cases, it becomes the story itself. Let me know in the comments, do you prefer Permadeath as a pure mechanical challenge, or do you need it to make sense in the story? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe for more roguelike content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next run.